Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. I'm your host today, Tina Prigge. I'm so happy to be joined. Welcome back to the show, Meredith Gadzinski, an MPL Librarian, and we're going to be talking about a pretty cool topic. Hi, Meredith.
Hi, Tina. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. This is kind of cool because we're talking about genealogy, we're talking about ancestry and other history resources that are available not only at the library, but also online for people that are at home within Manitowoc County and beyond.
Yes, that is correct. We have a lot of resources that you can access from home.
Very cool. So let's start by talking about what is ancestry? What is genealogy? What might people be in search of that they would want to know about these resources?
Well, genealogy is basically researching your family tree. So if you are curious about your family history or you hear stories about great Uncle Mike doing crazy things, or you're just kind of curious about where you came from, that's why someone would want to research their family tree. So that's basically what it is. And it's more than just researching for names and dates. It's getting the story of your family's story is basically what it is written down.
What does a person have to know in order to even start that search? Do you have to know like a grandparent's name, or do you have to know that they came from County Cork in Ireland, or like how does a person start?
Well, knowing who your family is helpful. But what I usually when I tell people how to start is you start with yourself and you work backwards. So I would start with myself and my vital information. So my birth date and other things, other life events that happened there. And then I would move on to my parents, and I would probably include my sisters in that, and just kind of keep moving backwards. And then write all that down so that you can see where you don't know things. So let's say you don't know where, if grandpa, let's for example, my grandfather Meyer, I don't know if he was born in the US or if he immigrated over. So you can kind of see where those holes are and then start researching those holes. And then also verifying what you do know with like birth certificates, death certificates, obituaries, and things like that.
And this is not something that's time specific, right? Somebody can decide to do this whenever they're involved in this search. We're not having this discussion today because there's a specific date in mind that this has to be done by. We're talking about these valuable resources that at any point somebody can either come to the library and access, or we're even going to talk about options that they can access from home.
Yeah, these resources are available all the time. Like, for example, the resources in the library are available when we're open, and then the resources from home, they're just available when you have time or you can't sleep at night or something like
that. You've got this burning question.
That's right.
So what's available at the library? If somebody was at the library, what would they start with, or what would they work with?
Well, we have the Manitowoc Local History Collection, which has various Manitowoc County local history books. There are indexes of newspapers dating back to the 1800s. So even if you don't know dates, you can look at those indexes, which the Genealogical Society actually provided us. They did the research on those indexes, and that's why we have those indexes. But you can look up names in those books, and then usually it references newspapers and newspaper dates, and then go to the microfilm. So we have things like that. We also have historical plat maps in the Manitowoc Local History Collection. There's the Germans to America. We have both sets of volumes, immigration, passenger ship lists. There's some Irish immigration passenger ship lists. We have a collection, it's a bibliography basically, of passenger ship list names. So there's the in-print resources that way. We also have city directories dating back to, off the top of my head, it's like the late 1800s, early 1900s. And we also have some phone directories. They're not dating back quite as long. And we also have, it's really interesting articles about local history topics in Manitowoc County that the Manitowoc Historical Society did, I think. They're called the occupational monographs. So if you want to know about the history of blacksmithing in Manitowoc County, that's a topic that's in that collection, which is kind of unique. That collection is also available online, but that's a whole nother thing. So that's kind of a very brief summary of our print resources. A database that you can only access in-house would be Ancestry Library Edition. So you would need to come either with your device, your laptop, your iPad, or you can use our internet computer and you can research on Ancestry here at the library.
It's fascinating. You're talking about like the ship's logs and the city directories and the plat books. Even if you don't have a specific genealogy question in mind, those resources sound like they'd be so fascinating just to peruse and kind of get a feel for that glimpse of history.
Yeah, it's Manitowoc County local history. So it kind of encompasses everything. So that could be your family tree for your family that lived in Manitowoc County, or it could be researching a building on your street or your home. We have resources available for that. So it's pretty much anything local history.
Oh, so you're saying if somebody has a historic home, so they're not the first owners, right? Then there are resources that they can figure out maybe who's lived in that home previously?
Yes, it's not quite as easy as you make it sound, Tina. I don't want to mislead people. So the resources that the library actually has, you can do like an address search in the city directories. For example, the house that I live in the city directories, I've dated it back to 1899. That's most of what I know of that we have in terms of like researching your building. We actually do have a handout of resources in Manitowoc County if you want to research a building, like where to look for what. Like for some stuff, you go to the courthouse. For some things, you go to City Hall. It depends on where you're living in the county and things like that. But the library has, if you want to know previous owner names and like how old the building is, the city directories is a great place to start if you don't know anything.
That's pretty cool. We live in a house that's about 98 years old, and there's a well house, and there's a little concrete pad, and right by the door when you open it, there's two paw prints that look like from a pretty big sized dog, and it says Smokey. And so I'm just so like intrigued, like, okay, who lived here? What's the story? Who is this cool dog?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I actually found a newspaper article that, I can't remember the exact date, but it's when basically it was kind of an announcement in the paper that this family was building this house on where we live. So I know exactly like kind of who they contracted for a house because that was in the article. That's not typical. So I wouldn't have that expectation for all the buildings, but there's information in the newspapers. If you can narrow down or previous owners, you can research the previous owners and find information on the building that way as well. So there's roundabout ways to find what you're looking for.
So it's kind of like putting a puzzle together, and you really have to search out the different pieces, and not every avenue is going to give you a piece to your puzzle, but it might. And that's why it's worth exploring.
Yes, that's correct. You're going to hit dead ends. I mean, there's a relative I can't find anything on, and it's been probably 3 years. And I've just taken a break because it's very frustrating. And you work on other people, and I may find information as I work on other members in that person's like immediate family on what happened or what the story is with this person. But you will hit dead ends, and it's just something that you just continue to work on slowly and patiently.
So you shared some other links to valuable resources and databases. Let's start by, I'm going to put it on the screen so people can see the link that we're talking about. This is a Manitowoc local history collection. Tell us more about this and what people might find when they access this link.
Okay, this collection is available. You can use our computers and access it. You can also access it from your house at no charge. You don't even need to enter a library card number, so you don't have to be a Manitowoc Calumet library system card owner. And the things that are on there, we have we have a lot of the local history collection digitized in that collection. So all the books in the Manitowoc collection, like the Plum Manitowoc County history, and I think it's Fulgi is how you say it. I'm not from here, so I'm probably saying it wrong, and I'm sorry. But the Fulgi County history books are on there. The occupational monographs are on there. We have indexes to plat maps on there. And there's like a whole list of things that you can access. So when you go to that link, instead of clicking on search images, you want to search full text. And then it takes you a different screen and you click on browse and you can search a name, you can search an event, you can search, and it'll do a keyword search within all the things that we have digitized. What also is on there is the photograph collection. So you'll find historic photographs dating back to like the early 1900s. We also have, which is kind of a different collection, we call it the Homefront collection, which I know will get you, but that's there as well. And you can search our local history photographs and look at old pictures of the parks. Like you can see Washington Park with the fountain and all sorts of different kinds of unique images of A Street through history, like the different stores that were there. And I know there's a picture of people skating on the river from way back when in that collection. So there's a lot of really cool images in that collection. And you can request images if you want them. You have to fill out a form, but you are able to request images to reproduce them yourself if you want to.
Wow, what a fascinating collection and kind of a rabbit hole that a person could get lost in and discover so much. I love that.
Yeah, there's a lot of really neat things in there. We also, I forgot, we have, there's these interviews that were done. I want to say it was in conjunction with the Great Depression to provide jobs, but I'm not sure. It was the Public Works program. So there were interviews done on local history topics. And we digitized those cassette tapes, and those are also available in this database.
Wow.
So
wow.
Like a topic, I know I said this before, but blacksmithy in Manitowoc County is one of those topics. So you can listen to that on there as well.
Oh, I'm super intrigued. Okay, and another resource then that you mentioned, you said is available at this link, but it also has its own link, and that's this Homefront, Manitowoc County in World War II. Tell us more about this.
So that link is specific to the Homefront. So the things that happened in Manitowoc County during World War II. So that's building the submarines. That's images of Custerdale. That's images of, things about victory gardens. It could be promotional posters. I want to say there's some storefront, and there's images of like just items and the ration cards and things like that in that collection. So it's very specific to Manitowoc County during World War II.
Oh, wow. What an amazing glimpse. Okay, if a person was going to look through just all of this, just immerse themselves, how long do you think it would take to go through all of the information that's collected here?
I've been at the library for 15 years, and I know a lot of it, and I've gone through a lot of it because of helping people research, but I don't feel like I know everything in these collections. So you can really, and those collections we're not adding things to, but there's another database that we always are adding things to. So, I mean, you could spend hours and hours and hours. I mean, there's images of the Chicago Northwestern Railroad Station with soldiers there in this collection. And there's, images of trains stuck in snow and just different things that happened in Manitowoc County. So it's a really cool collection, and I don't feel like enough people know about it.
Yeah, I was totally unaware, and what a fascinating thing to do, especially, it's winter, it's a little colder, you can't necessarily just go out and be everywhere like a person might want to be. And so what a cool thing to do to pass the time and to learn more about where we live, who we are, learn about your own history and genealogy. Cool. All right, tell us about this database, Genealogy and Local History.
Okay, so that database, you can also access here at the library and from home. You don't need a library card number for that database as well. That database started out as the proper name index, which was on like in a card catalog drawer for many years. And then Manitowoc Public Library, before I was hired here, put it on microfilm and gave the drawers to the Manitowoc County Historical Society. And I believe the proper name index was researched by the Manitowoc County Genealogical Society in the 70s. So it was on microfilm. The scans weren't done very well, and you had to really use, you couldn't really read them very well. So then in 2010, I think, to 2012, we put all of that on this database. So we have the newspapers that were indexed in that proper name index. You can search for names on this database, and you can find newspaper articles on this person. So that's one resource on this database. That's something we're also always adding to. So the current newspapers, we're indexing obituaries and life events and other kinds of local history things on the database. Another thing that's available is someone, and I can't remember off the top of my head who it was, but he was very gracious and he transcribed the German newspaper Der Nordwesten. And so there's partial transcriptions in our local history collection in print form, but we also have those pages digitized, and that you can browse on the database. You can't keyword search them, but you can go through the years and you can look for information on a topic or your family there. And then also what's also on there are digitized copies of the city directories up to 1920. And you can look at those images as well.
That's cool. Cool to know that there was a German language newspaper in this area once upon a time.
Oh, there were a few. We have like a whole drawer of microfilm. There's the Post, I think, and then Die Wahrheit as well. They are in German. Wow. So if you know German, that's great. So,
all right. And so then what's this Manitowoc County Genealogy?
Yes, so that is a website that has a lot of great information. It has events in Manitowoc County. You can keyword search this whole website. What I mostly use it for actually is the cemetery information. So when I don't know the exact death date of someone, or I can't find an obituary for the death date I have and I need to verify that date, I go to that website and I look for that person's name in their cemetery transcriptions. We also have them in book form, but the website's always being updated, so that's going to be more accurate. So that's kind of what I use it for. There's there's cemeteries all throughout Manitowoc County on there, and some of the people have links to like findagrave.com, or they have links to their obituaries. So they have transcribed full obituaries onto their website as well. So you can access the information in the obituary that way. Or you can come here and get it on microfilm if you want more of an original form of that. But it's a really great resource to use for Manitowoc County specifically. And they're always adding things. Like it's hard for me to keep up with what they're doing on that website.
Wow, I'm so glad to know that there are people endeavoring to, preserve and collect and make available all of these resources. That's so cool. So is that like the Wisconsin Genealogical Society, the Manitowoc County version of that?
This website, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not sure. A lady by the name of Sherry Melks started that project, and I think the Manitowoc County Genealogical Society provided some of the information there, but I actually don't know the exact history of that. They work with Two Rivers, Leicester Public Library, with that website. So that's something that's not specific to Manitowoc Public Library, but we do use it as a resource. And I do recommend it to a lot of people because it's really useful. It's a great website.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, then let's tell viewers a little bit more about this upcoming genealogy event.
Yes. So the Wisconsin State Genealogical Society has an annual genealogy event, and I believe that this was supposed to happen during 2020 and then it was canceled. So this year it's called Genorama, and the topic is telling your family stories. And it's on March 25th and 26th at the Holiday Inn in Manitowoc. And then our local Manitowoc County Genealogical Society is going to be like volunteering at that event. And they're going to have speakers and things on researching your family history. And the link that Tina provided below, if you need more information and you want to know more specific things, that would be where to go. So that's a really cool event coming up that usually happens annually. And right now, it is in person, but check the website because it may change. You just never know these days.
Right. So. Yeah, good to keep in touch about ever shifting situations. But what's kind of cool is that this year it's in Manitowoc. We're not always lucky enough to be hosting it right here in our own backyard.
Yeah, they have different hosting cities every year usually.
Okay, cool. So this is the year to check it out if you've got any interest in that. Awesome. So, and then Meredith, I think you also mentioned that you're working on a big project, not available just yet, but to come. Tell us about the digitizing of the yearbooks.
Yes. Last year, I saw an opportunity to send our yearbooks off to be digitized, and it was at the end of last year. And I did get them back in, and I have the digital copies, but they're not available for the public yet. And the yearbooks are all back in the collection, and everything's good to go that way. So they will be coming, and they're going to be on the genealogy and local history database in a similar form that the Say directories are and Dare Nor Veston is. And it'll be specific yearbook collection. I did, because I didn't trust, there's pre-Flambeau public high school yearbooks that we have. There's a few of them. And there was one called the Peony that wasn't in great condition. So instead of sending it away to be digitized, because it was bad and I just didn't want it to leave the building, I scanned it using one of our things here. And that's actually on there. And I scanned most of it because the other parts were falling apart so badly. The thought of touching them made me uncomfortable. So I scanned most of it. So you can look at the yearbook collection and the Peony, what I have scanned there, in there already. But the rest of the yearbooks will be listed. And that includes the other two pre-Flambeau yearbooks. And then when Lincoln High School started, the Flambeaus for all of those, and also Roncalli and Lutheran High as well.
Oh, that's amazing. That is a cool resource. Wow. There are so many great things happening at the Manitowoc Public Library. Meredith, thanks for sharing all of this information about researching one's ancestry, genealogy, local history, and whether you have a specific question that you're trying to answer or you're just in general interested about this glimpse into Manitowoc County history. These are some fabulous resources that you've shared.
Yes. Yeah, we have a really great collection. And for a community our size, that's not typical. That was one of the things that surprised me when I was hired here. I was shocked at how much is online, and it was very impressive. So I would just love for everyone to check out all the resources that we have here.
Another great reason that this is the coolest coast. Meredith, thanks so much for joining us today. Folks, if you have any follow-up questions, your friendly librarians at the Manitowoc Public Library, also at the Leicester Public Library, are always willing to answer your questions and help you out. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Coffee on the Coast. We will see you all next time.